let us know when you're ready with the recording. Okay, recording have started. Zach, whenever you're ready, please, you may start. Okay.
Okay. I was gonna get everyone to stand up and stretch, but since we had the break, I don't think we needed that.
All right, great.
Right. So, okay, let me start my timer on my end. Okay. And right.
Okay, start. Good.
Welcome to my capstone presentation. Right. You can scan my QR code if you want to afterwards. There's a professional website one and also a LinkedIn one. Right. So let's get started. So my title of today's capstone project is Walao this chatbot so smart, can even understand Singlish. Right. The official title is actually just an AI chatbot for telco customer service, right? Fine-tuned a little bit more for Singlish and Singapore culture. Right. So going through the agenda for today, I'll be going through the background of how I got interested in this project, the process of building the chatbot, a little bit of live demo if we got time, and then conclusion and future recommendations as well. Right, so a little bit background of a little bit of the background first. So in terms of AI, right, there are a few key elements contributing to the capability of AI. So the first layer is definitely the infrastructure and hardware layer, right? For AI to be able to be used, right, we need the data centers, the aircon, the electricity, the servers, right, the CPU, GPUs, all these things, even the cable connecting the internet throughout the world. Right. That's the very first layer. Second layer is the data, of course. So for AI to learn, it needs data to learn. Right. Then it needs the algorithm, which is the logic and instructions that we give the AI to perform tasks. Right. Then that's where the app comes in, like your ChatGPT or Gemini that we have been using, right, to run all these AI functions. And this is like the foundation of AI. So that's where my chatbot lies in also in the apps. Right. So story about how I got interested in doing this project, right? I was doing a networking last month in September. I met with the director of advanced technology in Ericsson, a brand that I have not heard of for very long, right? If you knew back then, Sony Ericsson, those where phones were creative in their designs, and rather than right now, all our phones are all the same looking, right? So basically what we were talking about how 4G has moved to 5G, and then she is looking at when technology moved from 5G to 6G. So every G that they add, it's basically 100 times speed faster, right? And how that will affect the AI landscape as well. So one current example, right? It's hologram technology, of course, not the wizards from Marvel MCU kind, but to really telecommunicate across places, right? It's really ongoing. There's a company called Portal that's doing it, right? You can really you can see each other from different cities sometimes and even different places. And the more recent one in terms of 5G, 4G going 5G was telesurgery, right? There's this doctor in Rome in Italy, and he did a surgery in Beijing, China. And I thought that was quite an interesting feat in terms of movement of technology, right? So in terms of AI capabilities, and when we get 6G, really it's about real-time AI with virtually no latency, right? Just like the telesurgery I talked about just now, it will allow even faster communications between devices and AI systems, right? And that also can make immersive VR or like augmented reality experiences even better, right? Because those experiences need a lot of data sending through. So not just gaming platforms, but education on the VR system or like therapy could also be done. Right, AI processing everywhere. So edge computing could help in terms of developing processing AI algorithms or directly on the device themselves instead of relying on the cloud. So I recently bought the new Google Pixel Buds Pro 2. It has a tensor chip inside. So it's where technology is moving towards. Right. Then the last one is to have a more effective, having a more advanced AI models with the help of 6G as well, right? To generate creative content, to solve more complex problems more effectively and efficiently. Right. So in the telco chatbot context-wise, it would be enabling the chatbot to understand to responding like Singlish, right, with greater accuracy and speed. What 6G could help could also be helping the chatbot to understand context a little bit better, right? Since it can access more data and more processing power, right? You could also expand the capabilities of the chatbot, right? Not just one language, but multiple languages. It could maybe use it in the AR, VR, as I mentioned before that as well. So all this can be integrated, right? So with that said, the stakeholders, of course, since I'm doing a Singlish chatbot, it will be a Singapore telco company that will be the stakeholders, and also Singapore business owners who use AI chatbot. If I trained it in a different language, of course, then it will be a different area or different country focus altogether. Right. So let's get down to the process of building the bot. So I had my raw data. I have two different files, Singlish file from Amazon AWS, and then my telco files, I got it from Kaggle, right? They're both in JSON and TXT format. I did some data cleaning and pre-processing, removing the white spaces, special characters, and duplicates as well. There are duplicates. So, and then I prepared the data for training. I tokenized it. Then I choose a pre-trained language model. I tried four. I tried to try four. So end up most of the models are actually quite time intensive, so computationally intensive. Running one to five epoch will take one epoch already takes like 15, 20 minutes really. So running multiple epochs will take hours. Right. And then my original plan was to deploy using Flask as well. Right. So web API. Right. So in terms of the models, all I didn't end up, the output wasn't as expected. I'll show you in the codes later. Right. So I didn't use it. Instead, what actually happened, I just upload my file to Google Cloud Platform. I used the Vertex AI Gemini 1.5 Flash. So I chose my training model and then basically fine tune it, evaluation just by looking and like using the bot, right? It's automatically deployed. All this done in less than 20 minutes. Yeah. So let's look at some examples. In terms of the telco FAQ, if I ask my bot, what does 5G provide? It provides this kind of services, right? And then I ask it to explain more, what kind of services are there? They will explain it out. Similarly, with the Singlish side of things, it does actually quite understand. So I ask what's the role of Hokkien in shaping Singlish, right? And then it churns out the answer, right? Things like feng shui, really random things, right? Feng shui, I understand what feng shui was. Even slangs like kiasu, right? The concept of kiasu, afraid to lose, and then I ask you to give me an example in a sentence. Right. For example, a student might be kiasu about getting good grades and would study hard to avoid falling behind. So the chatbot sort of understands what's going on. Right. So another one is lobang. Right. Can you give me a good lobang? No, I'm sorry, I can't give you a good lobang because I don't have access. But lobang means this, and I'm not able to provide with you the information. Right. So okay, we have time. So yeah, this was something I played with just now. Like, what are some Singlish expressions? You can see it gave a lot of expressions that it knows. Right. And yeah, I was like, what does lale law mean? All these things. So yeah, anyone want to ask any questions? This is live, by the way.
So you can just type in anything inside
Yeah,
in
I can
Sing.
type in.
Do you put in Singlish or?
Yeah, you can put it in Singlish. I'm not too sure if you can explain like 5G in Singlish or something.
Yeah, let's try that.
It might fail to generate. Yeah. But if you ask things like what is the national flower of Singapore, which is very redundant information for now. But it is part of like the training.
I think you need to load again the vertex. Yeah, it went to sleep. Yeah.
If it works. Yeah. Let's look at the chat. Oh, it doesn't know. Probably because I didn't train it that way. But yeah. Uh, Anyone else want to ask anything? But if not, yeah, those are some examples. I will go through the little bit about the prompt, interestingly. So let's see. These are the thought process of the AI, right? Yeah. So this was the prompt that I put in. So it was like churning out. It was gathering access from the data. So basically I have uploaded the data to the Google Cloud. And then with that, I link it to this agent console. So it's an agent builder, right? And yeah, we can explore this another day. So conclusion wise, um, computational power for stakeholders wise, if they want to think about this, whether or not they want to build their own server in terms of privacy issues or to use enterprise solution as that's why I asked the question with Roshika. Was it? I can't remember the name, sorry. But yeah. Uh,
Rhodesia. Yeah.
Right. So enterprise solution is actually a lot faster in my own experience. Computational power GPU, right? The capability of pre-existing large language models, right? So the need to choose the right models as well. It was a learning process for me in this capstone project, and the availability of those models as well. Of course, there were a few that had paywalls that I didn't manage to get, and the quality of the data, right? And this a little bit like prompt engineering, where when I get those prompts, I generate answers. So if the quality of it is wrong answers, there's no point in building a chatbot if the data itself is lousy, right? Just like what we mentioned before in just now, right? The third layer, the bottom third layer, above infrastructure is data. Right, software compatibility wise, I had some issues with my Tensor GPU, so I couldn't run on GPU, right, due to Python issues, all this. Right. Future recommendations. There's this thing called Sea Lion. It's developed by AI Singapore. It can actually understand Southeast Asian languages. So the English, Tamil, Chinese, Malay. I think it can work pretty well. I never really delved into it and or use it in my model training. It's something that could be explored in the future, right? Especially in the context of Singapore. Right. Thank you. That will be all for my slides. And that QR is scannable.
Thank you, Zach. Wonderful presentation. Let's give Zach one big round of applause for completing his capstone project. This is probably the best work that I've seen you do. I mean, you have consistently performed well, but it's great to see you hit another level with your presentation. Now, before any more feedback, let's go to your code. You have 5 minutes on that.
Yep. So for the code, well, my stuff, right? So I installed all the missing packages that I need, import the library. There's not too much. There's no EDA in this because the data itself are all in words. So loading the Singlish file, data prep, uh, cleaning it up, right? Loading the telco files, cleaning it up as well. Then this one is cleaning more of your white spaces, the special characters, and the lowercase. All right, same with the Singlish file, and then I only pick what I want. Then deleting duplicate rows. All right, my Singlish file had quite a bit of duplicate rows. Telco not so much. And then for telco, because it had 5 columns, and I only needed 2 of them, so I removed 3 columns as well. 2 of the columns. Right, tokenization to prepare the thing for training, uh, and then start training the model. Right, so using PyTorch, I combine the data set. Yeah, this one is I combine the data set, then training the PyTorch. So this is where all the training arguments are at. The epochs is here, so that's usually what takes the longer. the more epoch, the longer it takes. Then I'll save the model. So I can show you later where it's saved at. So at any time after that, I can load the model out, right? And then the generate response. So it's trying to evaluate the model, right? So trying to test query what is Singlish. This model, GPT-2 kept repeating the question back to me. So it wasn't that great of a model. So I repeat the steps for the other model as well. So the open instruct model is a little bit better in terms of like giving instruction and answers data. But the GPT-2 is a little bit too archaic, too ancient already. So it still doesn't do that well. Let's see. Yeah. See, what's the primary language spoken in Singapore? Mandarin. Right. I tried with different epochs as well to make sure that the training is like not wrong. So I mean, I tried until epoch 25, it's also a bit iffy. Right. So tried different models. Quen2 took very long to, I think, install or something. Yeah, it was gonna take like I interrupted. It was gonna take like 3 hours just to install the file. So I decided to forgo it. Mistral had a paywall. So I also decided to forgo that. Then yeah, this was the codes for deployment, but I didn't manage to deploy it since the outcome wasn't what I wanted. So the only little bit thing was just to clean up the telco for my Google Cloud Vertex AI. Right. So I just go to this data set. The cloud platform has a data set. I can just import in TXT file and then get all the telco things, the agent building things to be done. Show a bit of Yeah, so when I save the files, save the model, it saves a physical file inside my drive so that you can load that model anytime. Yeah, so this is something just to like interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's all.
All right. Wow, very interesting. Nice to see you using Google Cloud in action with Vertex AI. Is a very interesting service, very off the shelf. How was the experience with Vertex AI? Is it
It's
quite
quite,
easy to?
yeah, it's quite easy actually. Just need to navigate the cloud a little bit because the
Yeah.
cloud is in the USA